In a game where I could not believe my eyes, the Atlanta Hawks took on the Toronto Raptors at home, but then disaster struck for the Atlanta Hawks, and this could be massive implications moving forward in the future. Welcome to Hawks Digest. I am Chris Tipmore. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Good to see you all again. Please come on in. Take off your shoes, leave on your socks, and we're about to get ready to get into this Hawks recap and about the Raptors versus the Hawks. But of course, there are massive implications within this video, so please stay tuned because we're about to get right into it immediately. You hear me? The Atlanta Hawks took on the Toronto Raptors tonight. They were coming in on a 2-game losing streak after dropping the games beforehand to the New York Knicks and then at home against the Detroit Pistons, who are playing better basketball. But it's still, it was a chance for the Hawks to take advantage of a golden opportunity at home and, be able to get further into the standings. Because coming into it, the Atlanta Hawks were the 6th seed. And right now, things aren't looking too 6-ish. They're the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference now after dropping this game to the Toronto Raptors 122 to 119. Guys, this one was tough. Okay, this was a tough one right here for me. Coming into this game, I felt like this was a get right type of game for the Atlanta Hawks, as the Atlanta Hawks took care of Toronto back in Toronto. I know totally different circumstances, totally different game, but the Hawks still was able to take care of business there. So you was hoping that the Hawks would be able to get off the snide off this 2-game losing streak, coming in with the Toronto Raptors coming down to the ATL. Unfortunately, that was not the case. And I have a few notes here from the game that I want to share with you guys. Some things you're probably going to already know if you were watching the games, but those who were not, I got you covered right here. So, in this game, and if you look at the last 3 games, and you can actually go back further than that to the West Coast trip for the Atlanta Hawks, teams are trying to be more physical with the Hawks. They have, on the West Coast, they were physical with the Hawks against, natural bigs, natural centers. Regardless, of Clint Capela, he's like the biggest center that we have. Onyeka Okongwu, even though I called him the secret weapon, he is undersized compared to most. So the Atlanta Hawks, other teams are trying to be physical with the Atlanta Hawks. You've seen it with the Knicks. I feel like you've seen it with the Pistons, and it was a repeat, almost identical. It felt like I was watching deja vu in the first half of this game against the Toronto Raptors. This first half, again, looked a lot like the Detroit Pistons game. Big men, being able to kind of bully the Hawks at different aspects of the game. Also, you seeing penetration of the lane from the guards and wing the players. And the Hawks just not being able to knock down shots. Ultimately, the Hawks have to knock down shots. We already know that. But it just wasn't working out for the Atlanta Hawks. And then everything is going all right. Hawks are fighting. Hawks are trying to stay resilient and in this game. And then all of a sudden, disaster struck. Disaster struck the Atlanta Hawks. This is Jaylen Johnson. And as you can see just from the bench reaction, it ain't good. You can even see in his shoulder, it seems like it's maybe out of socket, out of place, like maybe he dislocated it. But he knew immediately that it was time to go. This happened in the second quarter. Hawks lost Jaylen Johnson yet again to another shoulder injury. This time, as you see, is his left shoulder. This right here has massive implications towards the Atlanta Hawks because Jaylen Johnson just came back off of injury. He missed pretty much the entire West Coast swing, but due to a right shoulder injury. Now he has a left shoulder injury. This right here, we're hoping for the best, hoping that maybe it won't keep him out for a lengthy amount of time. But disaster absolutely struck the Atlanta Hawks, and you hate it. And I would like to pull up a quote from DeAndre Hunter, Hawks, since sixth man, and somebody who actually was struggling tonight as well, and didn't really find his stroke until the fourth quarter. But he had a bad game as well. You don't want to jump on Dre too much because he's having such a fantastic season. But I want to pull up this quote that he had about Jaylen Johnson. He says, "I think he's doing a good job. He's still playing his game. He's never out there forcing anything. I always thought he was super talented." So I'm glad that he's getting to show that now. That is DeAndre Hunter on Jaylen Johnson's consistency. And coming into this game, I thought Jaylen Johnson was still trying to find himself. Coming off of the missing those mini games, at least 6 games that he missed, and trying to find his offensive flow within the offense and be that dominant force that we've seen before he went out with the shoulder injury. Before Jaylen Johnson went out, we seen 29, 30-point games, 19-point games against LA, and then it was nothing because he was gone. Now he's gone again, and it's nervous time for Atlanta fans. This is your number 2 behind Trae Young. This is the guy who's supposed to be the second best player going out with this injury. That's not a good look. That's not a good look at all. Let me tell you about some other things that are not a good look, though. It's not a good look for the first half of games. The Atlanta Hawks have not been able to get out get out the starting gate and attack teams. Lately, the Atlanta Hawks have been the team that have been getting attacked. Lately, the Atlanta Hawks have been giving up first quarter leads, giving up 3-pointers to teams. It just seems like teams just come in and shoot the ball so well against us. That's like a theme. It doesn't matter like who it is. And honestly, we have so many randos from the bando. That's what I call them, randos from the bando. And I'm gonna explain that. That means random guys who you normally don't hear about, but when they play Atlanta, they start going off. Or they're guys that you do know about, but they are not having such a good game here, not having a good week, not having a good month, and then next thing you know, they come in Atlanta, and it's almost like a get-right game. All these randos from the bando. So another thing that hurt the Atlanta Hawks in this game, and I've been talking about it here on Hawks Digest, one of the things that the Atlanta Hawks do well is points in the paint. On this night, absolutely positively not. 68-56, that was the difference between the Toronto Raptors and the Atlanta Hawks. The Raptors punished the Hawks in the paint. Punished us in the paint. And the Hawks, we were able to make several different runs to keep it close, but it was almost like a game of keep away all game for the Toronto Raptors. All game. Another thing, bench points. Toronto was able to take care of business in that aspect as well. 48-44 in favor of Toronto. Also in favor of Toronto is the points off turnovers. Hawks had 14 turnovers. That's close to their season average. But the points off turnovers, 32 by Toronto, that just simply cannot happen. I'm not going to get out here and say this guy is trash or this guy sucks. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just saying that we have to get better overall. You have to have better performances. This is a letdown game, if you ask me, for the Atlanta Hawks. And you have to get this right because you have to play this team again on Saturday night. Now, it's tough to beat a team back-to-back like that, but with this type of performance, and they're going to roll out a similar game plan against you, try to be physical, use their bigs against your bigs. Trap Trae Young, because other guys are going to have to start showing that they can knock down the shot. Again, like I said, DeAndre Hunter, he did not have a good game tonight from a shooting standpoint. He didn't really get going into the fourth quarter. So all that time in between, he's trying to get going. He just did not have it. And other guys not being able to knock down shots on a consistent basis. Trae was getting trapped a lot. Trae missed a lot of shots himself. A lot of inside shots. Overall, if you look at it, guys, too, the past 3-4 games, the Hawks have had trouble around the rim. Like, we have had a lot of trouble around the rim. And I'm going to prove that to you guys because we've seen that tonight. I got you right here. This is Jaylen Johnson. Disaster. Just absolute disaster. I can't stand that. But this is a shot chart about the Atlanta Hawks. This shot chart right here is for the entire game. As you see, around the rim, the Hawks were 16 for 28. That's 59%. That's 57%, excuse me. But at the same time, if I was to show you exactly what the Toronto Raptors had in that same painted area, you would feel differently. You would feel absolutely differently. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. The Toronto Raptors in that same area were 15 for 21. That's 71%. Again, like as you guys see, the Hawks, as you guys see, the Hawks just did not get it done. I'm really being nice here, guys. Like I really am, because it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a fan and as a content creator to see your team go out there and struggle against the Toronto Raptors, a team who only had one road win coming into this game, and now they have their second road win against our Atlanta Hawks. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not happy with it. I'm having trouble coming to grips with that. And now I know we lose to teams that we shouldn't have all season long. I get it. That's before tonight. I'm on tonight right now. And also, if you see, the Hawks, they were 12 for 18, which is 66% from in between the foul line and right in the painted area. They were okay from that area right there, but you're missing too much around the rim. 25 for 34 were the Toronto Raptors in this area around the painted area. 16 for 28 for the Hawks. And like I said, that has been a theme. We've had so much trouble around the rim, which is another thing which led to this loss. Points in the paint, because their bigs were taking care of business. You had Jakob Poeltl, who had 17 points tonight. Now, I will say this. Onyeka Okongwu, and yet another start. Onyeka Okongwu, he did have 19 and 12. So, yes, he gave it right back to Jakob Poeltl, but that was tough seeing Jakob really just do his thing against Onyeka. Even one point in time, you seen Jakob Poeltl take a double O to the rim and dunk it for the foul. And honestly, that was right before halftime. Next thing you know, you get the timeout. No, it wasn't even a timeout. It was just a sub, and double O was right out. In came Dominic Barlow. But guys, I don't want to dwell on the bad too long here. Let's get into some good, some feel good. I'm gonna take you guys out with some feel good before I get up out of here. Let's start with Dyson Daniels, the great barrier thief. Now, Dyson Daniels was 8 for 14 from the field. That's 57%. 57.1% to be exact. And also 2 of 4 from the three-point line, so that's 50%. You'll take that from Dyson Daniels, somebody who can hit timely threes, but not necessarily a three-point shooter. So you'll take that from Dyson Daniels. Gave you 8 rebounds, gave you 5 assists, gave you 4 steals. In another game where he had his 23rd game with at least 3 or more steals. Mookie Blaylock had 30 back in 1997-1998. So Dyson Daniels is well on his way as long as he's staying healthy, as long as he's continued to be that great barrier thief. This guy right here is going to break a lot of Atlanta Hawks records when it comes to steals and NBA records when it comes to steals. He's on his way. All right? He's on his way. Also, another thing I wanted to say about Dyson Daniels, I like the fact that he kept attacking. I like the fact that he took what the defense gave him. He was turning steals into transition, something that the Hawks like to do as we play with pace. That's another thing, too, that teams are trying to do, trying to take away Atlanta Hawks playing with pace. So you have to have guys who can be able to cause turnovers and start the transition, something that the Hawks could not stop the Raptors from doing in the first half. The transition. It would just over and over, transition. But great barrier thief, 22 points. Hey, man, a +2 for those who care about the plus and minus. Again, great game from Dyson Daniels. He showed up today. He was taking care of business, and I got to give the salute to him. But I also have a few more. I have 4 total for you guys, and Dyson Daniels is number 1. Number 2, Vit Krejci. Vit Krejci, y'all. Vit Krejci, man, is playing some of the most confident basketball that I have seen Vit play since he's been in an Atlanta uniform. Vit Krejci has yet another game to where he has double digits. He had 13 points. He was 5 of 10, and that's good for 50% from the field and also 42% from 3 because he was 3 of 7. Vit Krejci's confidence right now is so high, and I'm happy for it because Vit normally is so passive to the point where it's sickening. But Vit Krejci is playing with a lot of confidence to the point to where I'm ready to call him Crazy Krejci because he is taking care of business. Another bright spot that I can find in this disastrous game against the Toronto Raptors. Another guy. Somebody who returned tonight. Somebody who, man, I was getting ready to make a video about you, man. We're talking about Bogdan Bogdanović, man, our sniper for the Atlanta Hawks, man. He was 8 for 12 tonight. That's crazy because he came into the game missing his last 14 shots in a row. And tonight he came out and gave you 66% from the field in 32 minutes. 3 of 5 from 3, 60%. Also gave you a 4 or 5 from the free throw line as well. 3 rebounds, you'll take it. I also gave you a block too. Got you a bogey block. He did have 3 turnovers. It was a little bit better than what it has been. Ultimately, though, bogey with 23 points in a return. And guys, this is something else that is massive. This is something else that has massive implications for the Atlanta Hawks' future. Because if Bogey can return to form and be that person that can come off the bench and give you 15 plus, I'll say 15 plus. I'm not going to ask him for 20 every game. But if you can at least give me 15 plus, it will make the Atlanta Hawks' life easier. It will make Trae Young's life easier because you're going to be able to have guys who are knocking down shots, Bogey in particular, knocking down shots, knocking down threes, and making the defense think instead of react. So, Bogey, hey, I'm glad that you showed back up, man. I'm glad that you were that tonight was your night as far as coming off the bench because, again, like I said, Dre Hunter was not the same Dre that we're used to. And Bogey was big tonight, man. Bogey's minutes were so freaking big tonight, man. And I'm happy to see that Bogey was able to take care of that. And moving forward, man, we're gonna keep hoping that he is out of his slump. Because again, DeAndre Hunter with only 8 points tonight. Bogey was big in helping keeping in the game. Bogey, Dyson Daniels, Vit Krejci, Yucca Okongwu for his contribution. Trae Young, of course, 18 and 13, continuing his streak to now 202 games, with consecutive games to where he has 5 assists or more. Closing in on Isaiah Thomas, man. He's closing in. Also, my last guy that I got to talk about, Dominic Barlow. Pleasant surprise from Dominic Barlow tonight, man. He had some quality minutes as there was no Clint Capela. Clint Capela was dealing with some right knee soreness. Also, it was a back-to-back. So you're looking at it like this. Clint, all right, you're going through something. Then guess what? We're going to give you a little rest. Barlow, you're up. And Barlow, he came in 17 minutes for Dominic Barlow. 4 of 6 from the field. That's good for 66.7%. Also hit you a 3. He only took 1, but he hit it. And that's the important thing. So 100% from the field from there. You know, it is what it is in that aspect. But also Dominic Barlow, he gave you 11 points. He gave you 2 rebounds. He didn't rebound as much, but he still was able to cause 2 steals. He was getting down in there causing steals, causing trouble for old Jakob Poeltl and Kelly Olynyk and everybody else, man. So Dominic Barlow, even though you could tell sometimes that he's not used to being on the floor in the NBA. I ain't talking about the G League. He's not used to really being on the floor. You could tell it, but the moment wasn't too big for him. He played quality minutes for the Atlanta Hawks. He did. And honestly, I'm happy to see it. Like I said, I had to find some bright spots out of this, man. I had to find some kind of positive to flip out of all this disaster. You had no Clint Capela. You still don't have Larry Nance. You're not going to have Kobe Buffkin. You know what I'm saying? Zaccharie Risacher, someone who we miss terribly right now. Because if nothing else, even people are saying, I already know, he has no offense. He's not giving enough on offense. That offense is not his best quality right now for that 19-year-old kid. For Zaccharie Risacher, we miss him for his defense. We miss him for his length, being the athletic guy that he is. We also miss his IQ for a 19-year-old. His being able to switch on defense. We're missing a lot from Zaccharie Risacher, even though he's not giving you everything that you want on offense. We're missing Zach's defense, man. We have missed it. We have missed it. And right now, we're 0-3. Well, Yucca Okongwu in the starting unit. But the personnel is the personnel. It doesn't matter if Clint was starting or Yucca was starting. For me, at the end of the day, the personnel is the personnel that you have. And, you know, so Yucca is going out there, and he's being serviceable. He has his 4th double-double in his last 6 games. I mean, that's not a bad showing. We just got to get better. We definitely have to get better. We have to get healthy. This Jaylen Johnson going out absolutely hurts the Atlanta Hawks tremendously. But hopefully it's not as bad as we think it may be. Hopefully not missing as many games as he's had, or even missing even more games. Because, like I said before, that is your number 2, guys. And we cannot go through this. We cannot go through this. But it's time to shake it off. It's time to shake it off and pat it under your feet. Atlanta Hawks fans, it's time for us to shake it off. And before I get up out of here, please, by all means, guys, we understand that you liking the content. We appreciate you guys. Please, by all means, subscribe to subscribe to Hawks Digest as we're marching forward to 1,000 subs and beyond. Again, guys, I am Chris Tip Moore. This has been Hawks Digest. Hey, man, I'm going to be okay. We're going to be okay, Atlanta Hawks fans. But, gosh, I got to say, this is such a terrible taste in our mouth. Losing to the Toronto Raptors at home, 122-119. Until next time, guys, peace and blessings to you all. and to you all, a good night.